I am really, really thrilled to be able to give you all a first glimpse, sneak peek into our new VMS reporting tool. And I want to give you just a little bit of background about how we got to where we are. So many of you recall the panic that I had in February. Late February into early March, we learned that our current VMS system was going to be no longer supported. And initially we were told that we were gonna have to cut ties by June. Thankfully that got extended through the end of the year. So please know that through this transition process to a new product, we will have access, you will have access to our existing system so that you can make sure you get everything you need from that current system moved into the new system. That's not going to be a quick, we're not going to pull the rug out from under you. Let me put it that way. So some of the goals, in this spring that we established, hey, this is an opportunity for us to upgrade a system that we know hasn't been perfect for us, but it was convenient and it was cheap and it worked and we liked how it, by and large, it was very intuitive and simple for our volunteers to use. I think on the coordinator and admin side, we all saw opportunities for a better system. And so we pulled together a team. So we had a VMS transition team that looked at multiple products. We defined some goals for what we were looking for. And I want to acknowledge those people because they really did spend a good chunk of time evaluating products, in meetings, in demos, and have been involved in the follow-up. So we've really been meeting now for almost 6 months. So Merrill Kingsbury in Denver County, Patty O'Neill in Jefferson County, Kristen Anderson in Boulder County, Cassie Anderson in Adams County. And then we had 2 master gardeners, Elsa Cars from Douglas County and Andy Kennedy from Routt County. These were the folks that primarily helped evaluate the tools. And then a big shout out to Cherie Schaefer in Pueblo County, who also jumped in this fall and helped us kind of in the build phase. We had a lot of questions about how do we want this to look? Do we need this information or not? And Cherie was really helpful in that as well. So what were the goals for this new system? I want to lay some of that out because I think it will help you understand how we decided on a developer who you'll meet today, RJ, and what we prioritized in selecting a vendor. So our overall goals were, hey, we need someone to meet our timeline, which was pretty quick. Like we needed a product this fall for implementation in 2020. We wanted overall improved capabilities of our system and improved customer service interface, both for admin and for volunteers. So just in general, improved customer service, which we really just have, it's been non-existent with our current VMS system. We needed a secure product, obviously, multiple points for creating security for our volunteers in terms of data sharing and making sure that we were meeting kind of today's standards for security. Robust reporting features, I think that's important to all of us. And then we wanted to ensure that we could continue to have our enterprise level access or accounts. And I want to make a special note on that because not only will we have enterprise level accounts, and what that means is that we have like the state level and the county level or program level, and then the volunteer access within those counties. So it's kind of an enterprise view of our system. But we also have that not just for the Master Gardener program, but we're going to be working with RJ to finish developing that same identical system. So what you're seeing will also be available for native plant masters, for master food safety advisors, for the Colorado Beekeeper Mentor Program as well. And we may also be looking at another bee program as well. So just so you know, there's going to be really good continuity between multiple extension volunteer programs. And that's part of the reason you'll see that the system is branded for CSU Extension, not for the Master Gardener program. Some other things, just some hopes we had were we wanted to be able to track our volunteer requirements, right? So not just hours, but also forms, potential for recertification in the future, for our code of conduct, our waivers and release. So our annual renewal process can be done through the system. We wanted an enhanced email system that allows for multiple attachments and smoother, more specific emailing opportunities for listservs, etc. We're hoping for some mobile options for users because we know a lot of our master gardeners are accessing this site on their mobile device. Improved calendar systems that would also allow for permissions to be able to register for certain things. So there could be some restrictions in what people can register for. Oh, this is one of my favorite features, the built-in password recovery system, so that it's an automatic password recovery, because I get a lot of those emails. And then overall, we just wanted it to continue to be a branded product for our institution, something that was simple and intuitive, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we went on and on. We had a very long evaluation tool, 2 pages, and this is how we evaluated vendors to make the best determination. So in that process, RJ Jacob really rose to the top. RJ, let me give a brief bio on RJ. I'm excited for you guys to meet him today. Richard Jacob, he goes by RJ, has been developing websites and web applications for over 15 years. In 2008, he designed and built the Missouri Master Gardener online reporting system. Since that time, he's developed extension volunteer reporting systems for Master Gardener programs in Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Oregon, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Georgia, and Maryland. Quite impressive. He's developed other systems for the Kansas Master Naturalists, the Oregon Master Beekeepers, the Kansas Master Food Volunteers, Maryland Watershed Steward Academy, the Kansas Kanza Prairie Docent System, and the Oregon Bee Atlas Program. You can tell a lot of states have gone back to him for future products because what he builds works. He also has proposals on the table to develop a Hawaii Master Gardener VMS system. And listen to this, he's also going to be developing a help desk system for specifically the Maui Master Gardener chapter. So I think we're all going to want to keep our eyes on that one, RJ, because a help desk system could be really useful for Colorado as well. He's also developed websites and local reporting systems for several Master Gardener chapters in Missouri and has clients in the entertainment, manufacturing, B2B sales, and other industries. So on a personal note, RJ became a Master Gardener in Missouri in 2009, and he's now emeritus status as of last year. And he's enjoyed a long and fulfilling relationship with Extension in Missouri and around the country. So as you can tell, we found a really unique developer for our site. And part of the reason we went with RJ as our vendor was the opportunity to truly customize a product for us that we would own. So this will be our product. And so there won't be an annual renewal fee, which was pretty hefty with most of the other products we were looking at, and we were concerned about budget for that. But also just the level of customization. I think part of the reason we were delayed in launching this was because I kept going back, and as a group, we kept going back to say, oh, can we add this? Can we need this layer of reporting, or we need that? And you know, RJ can meet that. Obviously, there's some time that's required to build those extra things that we were looking for. So without further ado, RJ, I've talked enough. Would love that you, if you could kind of share your screen and do a walkthrough, and let me go ahead and give you, there you go. I think you should be able to share now.
I should. Well, hi, everybody. We're in the thick of it here. We've got quite a bit done. There's still a little bit left to do, but I wanted to give you sort of an overview of what your experience would be like and what your Master Gardener experience would be like when they log into this new VMS. So I'm going to share my screen. And now we're looking at the new sign-in page. And as Katie mentioned, this will be a sign-in page not only for Master Gardener, the Master Gardener program, but other extension programs as we bring them into the fold here. So basically, it's like any other login screen. First of all, I'm going to log in as a Master Gardener who has already, well, no, I'll log in first as a Master Gardener who has not yet walked through the renewal process. We've now put this into the system so that every year we'll basically reset all of the accounts. And the first time the master gardener logs into the system in the new reporting year, they'll have to go through the renewal process steps, accept all of the waivers and conditions, the code of conduct and so forth. And then we'll also have them stop at their user profile and make sure that all of their contact information has been updated and so forth. And so I'm going to walk you through, I hope I have this set up, through a master gardener who needs to do that, which happens to be me. All right, so when I log in, the first thing I'm greeted with is this annual renewal, step 1, volunteer compliance status. And it's got all of the information explaining the form and why they're having to do this. I think that this has been done so far with a Qualtrics form, but we're kind of taking over that. And we're going to be storing all of this information in our database so that you can just right in your VMS, you can see who's compliant and who's not and that kind of thing. So anyway, just to walk you through this, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to select their renewal status. Most of them are going to select the completed hours and seeking reappointment status. But there's 4 others here, which y'all are probably familiar with. Just to show you, I don't know how many will actually come to this point and actually select not reappointed, but if they do, they'll just get a little place where they can leave some comments. And if they submit that, the form with that selected, they'll just be given a thank you message, and they'll be out, they'll be done. So I don't know, like I say, how many people will actually go to the trouble to do this, but if they do show up and they want to end the program for now, then they'll just select there. The other ones are limited activity or temporary inactive. If they select that one, they're going to get the reduced or inactive block will show up, and they'll just select one of these here, and then they'll have the rest of the form to fill out, which I'll go over in a minute. If they select the emeritus or affiliate status, then they'll get a little emeritus or affiliate couple of items here to select from. So they'll have to select one of those. If they select the not completed hours option, they'll get a little incomplete block, and they'll have to put in some comments as to why that's the case. But I'm sure most of them are going to select completed hours and seeking reappointment. So if they do that, they'll just be taken directly to the driver's license and automotive liability insurance block. They'll have to accept, or they'll have to check one of these. They're either going to drive or not. And then they'll go through all of these other agreements. And these are all just taken off of all the Qualtrics forms and then just combined into one form here. So I'm going to go ahead and go ahead and go through these just to show you what their experience is going to be like. They have to select one of the 2 from the driver's license. Doesn't matter which one. But for the rest of these, they have to select yes. Otherwise, the form won't validate and they won't be able to continue forward. So I'm going to go ahead and select yes there. And then there's all of this long boilerplate here. All of these links open up in a new tab, leaving the form open. So they'd be able to look at that, close the tab, and then the form will still be there. And so I'm going to go ahead and select yes on this one. Then there's the minors policy. They have to select that. And then there's the CSU extension will do these following things as much as they can. And they'll have to accept that they understand that. And then they'll have to accept and agree to the CMG volunteer code of conduct. And then they'll actually have to provide a signature, which is kind of weird with a mouse, but it's close enough. And then they'll have to provide a date of birth. I'm just going to select 1920. And then they'll have to put in the activity locations. This dummy account I've set up is in Adams County, so I'm just going to put mostly in Adams County. And then they have to put in a start date, which they can use any date in 2021, and then an end date. They go through all of this here. They again have to accept this. This is a long process, no doubt about it, but they only have to do it once a year. They have to sign again. And then finally, they accept or not a media release. This is the only other one where they can say yes or no. I'll go ahead and say yes. And then we have this little block down here, which tells them about the annual dues payment and that kind of thing. So once they've completed all of those fields, they click submit. Then they are taken to the annual renewal step 2, which is where they update their user profile. This will show all of the information that is in the system for them, including any photo they've uploaded, their address, their phone numbers, their current user credentials, and then the demographics fields. And so if I go through this, the first thing that we're asking them to do is to reset their password. And it looks like I'm having a little bit of a display issue here. This should say password, but it's not showing, but we'll fix that before we go live. So the first thing they would do is they would click this to reset their password. Now, most of them, well, actually all of them will want to do this the first time, but as they do this process each year, they won't have to reset their password. It's just, we put this at the top so that the form, they won't have to, if they change anything, they won't have to refill out the form. So we're just going to leave that. But if they do click that button, it just takes them to another form where it gives them the minimum password requirements, and it gives them 2 fields to put in the password. They have the little eyeball icon here, which will show the password in plain text or not. So anyway, that would be where they would do that. And if they try to save this without putting in a password, they get a little error message. But they, if they change their mind, they don't want to change it, they can just go back to the form, and then they would look over everything here. And I'm going to go ahead and just change this. If I can get my keys, my fingers on the right keys, and then they can add a photo, and they make sure their address and their residence county has been updated. All of the phone numbers. They only have to put in 1 phone number. We're just requiring 1, but they can put in as many as they wish. They do have to select the preferred phone, user credentials, and then the demographics. These are optional, but we're asking them to fill them in if they don't mind. So purely optional.
And the demographics, I'll just pop in, is standardized. I went round and round and round with folks and extension admin about this. What we've chosen is standard language that we'll be asking all program participants as well as volunteers across extension.
Awesome. Yeah, those are just standard. And then finally at the bottom, we're going to show the programs that they're involved in. Now, most of the master gardeners in the database are only active or in 1 program in 1 county as a master gardener. But we do have some of you who are extension agents who are also master gardeners in a different county or at the same county, that kind of thing. So if you had more than 1 program association, it'll show up on this list here. Now, in the case of this user, they only have 1 program association, but the reason this shows up here is to enable them to make sure that that information is correct. They can't change it, but they can let you know if it's incorrect. They can still log in the meantime, but if like the county is wrong or there's some other problem, I don't anticipate that, but if there's some problem with what's showing up here, then they'll need to contact you, and you'll need to dig into their profile and change that. And we'll offer more instructions about that before all of this happens. But this is also where they can choose to have their contact information private from other volunteers in the program. And, it might be that they could be in 2 or 3 different programs, and they might want to be private in some and public in the others. So we actually give them that choice. But if all this looks good and they don't wish to change it, they don't have to do anything. All they have to do is click save at the bottom, and they get a little confirmation message that says that you've completed the renewal process and you'll now be directed to your account. So once they click OK, they get taken to their their homepage. And this is what the new system looks like presently. This is sort of a provisional dashboard. We could make changes to this, but I wanted to have something here that you could see just to kind of give you an idea of what they're going to be experiencing. So when they first log in, they're going to see this dashboard, which has a news block over here. And this is going to show news items that you have put up for your program area, for your county. And these will show up with the most recent on top. They'll be able to scroll through earlier ones if they wish. You can, of course, you have complete control over this. You can publish or unpublish these. You can also create what's called a sticky item, which will always be on top, some reminder or some news item that you want them to always be able to see on top. So you'll be able to do that. You'll also be able to, we'll also have a statewide news. So these are items that Katie will put up here, and those will remain as long as she wants them to remain. And then in the middle, we have a running totals report here, which shows, in my case, my total hours, education miles and contacts for the current year. And then just for now, I've got totals for my county. I've got totals for the local projects in my county. And you have to scroll a little sideways to see all of those. And then also in the subject area. And we'll go more into that a little bit later in the week. And then we also have links. We have links from statewide, which Katie posts, and these will just be listed here. And then any links that you'd like to list for your Master Gardeners will be shown right here. If they wish to report hours, they'll just click report hours and get the form. And it's a simple prospect of just selecting the project. Depending on whether it's volunteer or education, it will determine what fields show up below. Just to give you an example, if they select a demo garden, then they'll get the volunteer hours field. But if they select, for example, a health seminar, they'll get the continuing education hours field. Also, if they select a volunteer project, they'll get the opportunity to show or to add contacts if they wish. And if they select to show the contact form, then they get the contact demographics, which are set up just like with the same basic fields as the demographics you saw just a few minutes ago. So that's where they report hours. If they'd like to view or edit their hours, they have a report to do that. This will show all of the hours that they've already reported. And this is like the complete everything in the database. So a running total through the years. But they'll be able to filter by year and just see the current year if they wish. They also have a number of other options, which again, we'll go over. I just wanted to give you an overview for now. I don't have a directory set up yet, but that's where they'll be able to see other Master Gardeners in their area. And of course, those who wish privacy will not have any of their personal information displayed. Their profile is under this tab here. This is also a sort of a tabbed interface where they have their contact information on the first tab. This is where they can add or remove a photo, their user information, residence, county, email, and their username. Plus they have a button to reset their password here, their demographics tab, and finally the programs tab, which they can then go in and do some editing. And the reason that they're not showing any of their information here is because something I have to fix there. So still under development. And then finally the calendar, I don't have that set up yet, but I'll show you what it looks like to you in just a moment. And then the exit button would be right there. That takes them back to the login form. I think, should we do questions now, or should we just wait till the end? Katie, what do you think?
I think I've been answering most of the questions. There's one I couldn't answer that was how mobile friendly is this process for that initial login and the renewal process?
It should be very mobile friendly, but I'm going to thoroughly test it on a couple of mobile devices before I launch it. And what I'll probably wind up doing is, if there are any issues with the existing forms on mobile devices, I will create forms to fit mobile devices. And then if they are on a mobile device, the system will recognize that and route them to the mobile version of that form. Um, just to give you an idea of the differences, let me open up another.
I think that's perfect, just to know that it would be mobile friendly. And just so everyone knows, really our statewide renewals and access to this system will not start until December 1st. So we have a few weeks to work out some of these kinks and bugs and whatnot. And RJ's assured me this is totally normal. It's just part of the process when you're building a customized product. Clearly our code of conduct is long. And so that's cumbersome to fit on even a desktop page, let alone a mobile device. But RJ's been really working with us to make this happen.
Oh, well, I was going to show you what one of the forms looked like in a mobile setting, but I think probably we'll just move on.
Does anyone have other questions, kind of initial questions, anything I missed in the chat? Just so others know, the other extension programs outside of Master Gardener, they won't be launching to use this system until next year. So January or February, most likely. We're trying to get everything ready for Master Gardeners, and then we can kind of make some tweaks and customization for the other programs. Okay. Looks like some nice comments, intuitive, looks nice.
Good. Awesome. So that's basically what the Master Gardener experience will be like. I mean, we might change what's shown on the dashboard. We might add some other some reports for them, some pre-built reports to show like their progress through the years and that kind of thing. But for the most part, it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple for them to navigate. That's the idea. Tried to make it the same way for you guys, but you have a lot more to deal with. So what I'm going to do now is log into a county admin, and I've got one set up, which I wanted to show you. For those of you, sorry, with this microphone in the way, I can't see my keyboard.
Yeah, there are a couple questions, so I want to answer these while you're doing that. Susan asked, does the renewal process pop up automatically in November or December when they log in? Yes. So this will be something that is set statewide annually as just kind of a hard reset, and it will pop up first thing. You cannot move past the renewal process. And if you select no or don't agree to the code of conduct, you also cannot move forward and advance into the system. Anything you want to add on that, RJ?
Nope, it's just a matter of flipping a switch and just changing everybody's compliance status from 1 to 0, and then if it's 0, then they get routed to the renewal form. And if it's 1, they get routed to their login. And if they choose not to do it or to route out or whatever, then we'll just disable their account. And then if sometime in the future they come back into the program, then everything will still be there. We'll just re-enable their account and they'll go forward.
Yeah, so this is really, really similar to our current structure in terms of when somebody's released from your roster, they're not actually deleted from our system. They remain within the system so that when they get reactivated, everything goes with them. So that's a really nice feature because it's important that we keep track of our volunteers over the years, right? They can come and go, and that's okay. And there was a question that came in about status of a Master Gardener if they choose not reappointed. What would that look like on the back end for a coordinator when somebody actually took the time to say, hey, I'm not coming back?
Well, I believe that probably what we would do is deactivate their account or disable the account, and then they would show up as a disabled account. We might also change their status. I don't know if we have it set up in the system right now for, I think we disable their account. We change their permissions level to no access. And I think that's basically all that we do. But
Okay.
if there's something else or some other indicator that that should be done, like, I mean, we'll be sending emails on a lot of these things. I don't have the email module uh, complete yet, so I can't show any of that to you, unfortunately. But we'll be sending out notifications on a lot of this kind of thing. I mean, I'm not going to send you a notification every time somebody logs in and fulfills their their or becomes compliant,
Right.
but you'll be able to look at a report and see who's compliant and who's not. So
Perfect. And that was a question that Sunshine just asked. So
yeah. All right.
exactly.
So one of the things that and I think you have this in your current system, if I'm not mistaken, but for those of you who have uh, accounts or have access or need access to more than one county, or if you are, for example, a coordinator or an agent in one county and a master gardener in another, we had to work that out. I just kind of finished that this morning and tested it, but I'm going to use Cassie Anderson as my example here. And of course, all this will be reset when I import new data to the database. So, but basically, just to show you, if you do have two program areas that you're involved in, when you sign in, you're taken to another form. And this form has been set up so that it will work as the other extension programs get brought on board. So you would first select which program, and then you would select which program area. That's your county. And in the case of Cassie, we're going to select Adams, and then you would select your status, CMG staff. And I think, yeah, she's CMG staff in both of these, but there was another one, I think Kristen, who was CMG staff in one county and master gardener in another. So
Yeah. And Cassie actually is too. She's a volunteer in Boulder County and she's a staff in Adams County.
okay. I have her set up wrong. But anyway, we're just gonna go into Adams County because that's where I have some dummy records. And once she selects those things and clicks go, then that takes her into her dashboard, and it looks very similar, as you can see, to what the master gardener sees. It's just that the links here at the top are a little different, and they have a bunch of stuff underneath them as well. And I I don't know. I was going to just kind of do a quick walkthrough without going into great detail, and then we'll be going into more of this on Thursday and on Friday. But I wanted to show you the dashboard is very similar to what the master gardener sees. You have a county total, which will show you running totals through the year in your program area. It shows project totals for all of the projects that you've set up in your county. Um, and this is all scrollable. Same with subject areas. We'll go into more of that when we discuss how to add your projects to the new system. It's got the news items over here. Again, these are news items that you've put here that you want your master gardeners to see. And then we've got the statewide news underneath. Then over here, we have the links as well. So I sort of modeled this after what I was seeing on the VMS homepage. When people logged in, there was a menu over here on the left, and then there was news in the middle, and then there were some links on the right. The only difference is we've added some reports here. Um, the under manage, we have various topics or areas that you'll need to manage. For example, we've set it up so that you can um, create your own skill list that you want master gardeners to select in terms of what skills they have, what skills they can offer. And so we've got a whole system set up just to create the skills that you want to use and edit them and so forth. We have a means for you to create groups of master gardeners so that you can group them into, for example, an email list. So if you wanted to say, uh, create an email list of just apprentices, you could do that. Or if you wanted to create an email list of just certain projects or just whatever, you can create any kind of group that you want and categorize it however you want. We have the projects. So you'll be setting up your own projects for your county area, your local area. And this has been changed a bit from what you did in the past. And so we'll be going over that, I think, on Thursday. These are some things that you'll want to do before we launch the system widely to master gardeners, because that we don't want them logging in and having no projects to select and that kind of thing. So that will be one of your priorities, is to set up your projects. And just to give you a brief look at how this looks, I've got some dummy projects. You can see them right down here. But in order to see them in a list that you can actually manage, oops. Well, I was hoping I wouldn't have any glitches today, but let's try this one. Okay. So this is where you would add a new project. You give it a project name, and then you select from these various fields. And as I said, we'll be going over this in more detail on Thursday, but that's where you would select your, that's where you would create your projects.
And I'm going to jump in here and say that we are not loading our new system with existing project data. So my hope is that you'll be able to kind of tidy up your projects and get a more concise version of those projects, and then use our system to add in these new projects this week, next week, sometime before December 1st when we go live. But we will have a number of beta users, volunteers from multiple counties who've kind of opted in to be a first user starting next week sometime. And so we will start to get some participant feedback before we go live statewide.
Good. Okay.
So Deb, to answer your question, I just want to clarify, no projects are moving in automatically to our new system. So all existing projects that are listed in our current VMS will need to be manually added into this. That means that you can copy and paste things from your existing system, but you will need to add it in. And part of that is that we have some new reporting features in that project form. And so I want you to be thoughtful about selecting where does this project align in terms of our engagement collaboratives, what I'm calling in the system our impact focus areas. So these are our new kind of buckets that we're going to be asked to kind of report through or demonstrate where we're making impacts as an extension program unit. So this will give you an opportunity. You can play with this week, next week, whatnot, by starting to add in the existing projects that you want to carry forward. In terms of other things that will be moving over automatically, so RJ does have a list of our current rosters as they were on Friday in our current VMS system. Those people will automatically be in our current system for a new VMS. And along with that will be a lump sum of their continuing ed hours and a lump sum of their volunteer hours lifetime. So to date, anything that was in our old VMS system will move over into our new VMS system.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll be going over this whole idea of adding new projects and that in fulfilling the requirements of selecting an impact focus and so forth. We'll be going over that in great detail on Thursday. But so I don't want to dwell on that. But anyway, you have the means to add projects, manage projects, disable or enable projects, and that kind of thing. And you also have a way to create your project membership. So, of course, the MGs can decide which projects they're going to be involved in. But if you have rosters of people in projects already, as you add your projects, you'll be able to update the project membership as well. So that's been included as well. This is where you would add news. This is the news item list. Basically, these are showing news items. This is a form to add a news item. And when you add these, it gets put into that feed right here. And then documents, we have a document repository. So this is where you can add documents of various kinds. We have 2 legal documents in here right now that I've just put in for demonstration. But you can create new documents by clicking add a document. It gives you a form to select the document type, put in a name, a description if you want, select a file and upload it to the system. And then there's a block down here which shows the supported file types and the sizes that we're allowing of those file types. So That's the document repository. And then there's also a means for you to add links, which show up over here in the program area links. And that's right here. There's a list of links. Again, another little glitch, but we'll have that fixed before you start using it. Add a link. Yep. So that's working. All right, so that's the managed set, and there might be some other things that get added to this too. I'm not sure if I'll put email under here, or I'll probably have a separate tab for email, because that's a pretty that's a pretty wide-ranging function in the system.
So one question came in about for the news section. Right now that's set up so that only staff would be able to add a news item. Can you talk just briefly about what might be included in an elevated volunteer status, which I think in the system you're calling the volunteer admin?
Yes, right. So, I mean, I've created these various permission levels: state admin, county admin, and then volunteer admin, and then volunteer. And a volunteer admin will have elevated permissions over a volunteer, but not quite the same permissions as a county admin, which would be the permissions you all have. And so we could, and we haven't yet determined what all we want the volunteer admin to be able to access and so forth. But we'll be determining that here pretty quickly as we get this all put together. But a volunteer admin will basically have, when they log in, they'll have a menu up here, but they'll also have a sub menu, which will be their personal reporting items, and like their personal profile, a form to add hours and that kind of thing. And so they'll have sort of a double role here. And then we'll determine which of these at the in the top menu that we want them to be able to access, to be able to insert new records into, update existing records, delete records, and that kind of thing. So we'll be able to, on a very granular level, determine what we want them to be able to access and do. So that will be coming in. So if you want to turn over to them, or if we decide to turn over to the volunteer admin, keeping up the news, and then we can do that. So yes, that will be part of the system when it's fully complete. Under the user, are there any other questions about that?
Nope, I think we're good.
All right, so moving on, and I don't want to take too much more on this, but under users, we have a master users list. This is like a directory which shows every master gardener and admin that you have in your program area. It's a very wide report, but it'll show photos, and if you click on the photo, it does all of that. You can search. You have a number of filters to search for master gardeners. You have options to change the way the report looks by removing or adding columns, changing sorting. And if you, well, I don't want to get into too much of this because it gets too detailed, and then it's difficult to remember.
The bottom line is you'll have access to and flexibility to customize how you want to view this report, and you can change it anytime. And it's kind of a drag and drop system too. It's really cool. So this is one of those things that you'll get to play with, but know that the access and flexibility that most people wanted in this kind of directory is here. It's built in.
Good. And then we have a second report here of user program participation. So since we're expanding this out so that it can fit all of the various extension programs, and because some people have multiple program participations, we created a separate report which shows the username and then their status, their permissions, and so forth for each of the programs they're involved in. And it will also show whether or not they have privacy enabled in that account, whether their account has been enabled, and whether they're compliant. So this is where you'd see people that had dropped out of the system. Essentially, it would show account enabled no, program compliant no. There might be some other way we can designate it, but that kind of gives you one idea, one way to find out. And you always have ways under search to filter what you're seeing in the report. So you can filter to a particular user if you want. You can filter to a particular group. Like let's look at just apprentices. And so forth. So you get the idea. You also have a quick search up here, which enables you to do a very quick text search of the report. So if we wanted to say, look at, we can just bring up their row pretty quickly. And this is common to all reports. Basically, all reports have the quick search, the search or filtering, the pagination, the various options, and the ability to export into these various formats. User compliance report. This actually shows people who have done the renewal process for the year, and if they have, you can look at it by clicking on this little icon, and you'll see actually all of the fields that they selected. Excuse me, their signatures and their media release acceptance and that kind of thing. Right now, this is not showing all of the boilerplate that was on the form, but I'll eventually add that. And so you'll have a printable or exportable document if you need it for any reason. Now, I know like in the, I just finished a program or a system for the Oregon Bee Atlas program. These are volunteers that are out collecting bee samples to do basically a census of the bee population in Oregon. And they have the same kind of thing. They have a long form that they have to fill out, and it includes just a bunch of stuff. But anyway, they needed to be able to print it out because in order for them to go into some areas, they have to show that they have that they're in compliance with the program. So if you should ever need that, you'll be able to print or export a compliance document for each of your master gardeners.
You can't hear it, but people across Colorado are cheering right now because we've never had a system for tracking compliance like this. It's always been done kind of manually, spreadsheet, county by county. So 3 cheers that this got implemented this year.
Well, yeah, and it's happening it's happening with all programs too. I'm increasingly being asked to set this kind of function up because well, you all know why. It's just becoming more and more regulatory like that. Okay, so then you have a way, and Katie, we haven't really discussed, but I'm assuming that when we have like a new class of apprentices, that are they going to fill out their own profiles, or are we going to have agents do it?
Right now, we have county staff fill out that information, so we don't have individual users creating their own profiles.
Good, that's fine. Yeah. So this is where you would do that, was create a new user profile. Just gives you a blank slate. There's also a tab here, which when I showed you the profile in the Master Gardener section wasn't there. And that's an admin tab that allows you to add some comments about the Master Gardener. Not to speak bad about them, but just to put some comments about them. Maybe there are certain restrictions in their activity and that kind of thing. So you'll be able to put that in. And then you have a place for your own user profile, which will show your information where you can update it. All right, then under activity, we have the Master Gardener hours list with MG data, and add hours for an MG. Now, I know Master Gardeners are supposed to add their own hours, but in every system I've ever built, we have to have a form where coordinators can do it because some don't have computers, just for whatever reason. We'd like to move everybody into the 21st century, but not all Master Gardeners do that. And, they'd rather be out working than sitting in front of a screen, I'm sure. So you will have to do it for some of them. And this is the form which will enable you to do that. It'll have your program area, and then you'll just need to select their name and the project and so forth. You can do it fairly quickly. To see a Master Gardener hours list, as you can see, this shows, it's the same kind of grid uh, um, view that we had when we looked at users. You have some filters over here. You can filter by uh, records by the local project you have, and you can do a multiple select by that as well. So you can just select certain projects, and that will filter the list. You can also filter by the event date. So we have that set up to month and year. So you can look at all records in a particular month if you like. And you can also filter it by the names of people who have submitted records. You also have the search feature up here, the quick search, what I call it. And you have another more expansive filter here. So just to give you an idea of the power of this, we're going to do a group by. We're going to select, I've got a little glitch there too. Let's do name, summary. And now you've got a summary report which shows all of your master gardeners and their totals for the current year. All right, so there's a lot you can do with these. Calendar. All right, so we've set up the calendar a little bit differently. We have some categories over here, and this is just sort of a provisional or prototype. Well, we might be changing these or adding or subtracting from them or whatever. But when you add a calendar event, whether it's a project, workday, or a seminar or Master Gardener training opportunity or something, basically all you have to do is just find the day in the calendar and click on it, and it opens up your form where you'll put in your event name, and then you can select an event category or not. It's up to you. But you would then select the program area. And in this case, you can put, and I haven't fully got this worked out, but right now we're allowing you to put an event which you want the whole state to see. Normally this is just an administrative permission, but right now it's showing up here, and that might change, but essentially you would select your program area, and then you would select the event creator, which would be a list of coordinators in your county. Go ahead and select the currently logged in user. You have a field here for event description, which is not required, but is sometimes helpful. And then you have all the information here, which you're familiar with if you've ever used a calendar app before. Start and end date, start and end time. If you want to do full day, you can just select that and it will remove the time features. If you have a recurring event, you can set it up here. Anyway, not to get too involved, but then you can select your project. If it's a project workday, you can select it here, but you'd probably also want to fill it in up here. And I think we'll be going over the whole calendar thing probably in greater detail before we launch as well, because it's going to look quite differently to Master Gardeners. They're going to basically have read-only access to events, except for the sign up. They'll have a sign up button so they can sign up for an event. But this is also where we talked about how you can restrict signups to a particular group. So let's say, for example, you've set up a tree team group, then you can select them here, and any Master Gardener will be able to see this event on their calendar, but only people with this particular group designation will be able to sign up for it. So that kind of gives you an idea there. The event address, we're still using just a plain event address field, but eventually we'll have this be a Google map essentially. So you'll be able to choose an event, either type in address and it will create a Google map of the event location or whatever. But for now, we're just doing this. And you can add a file attachment as well. All right, so that kind of gives you a little thing on the calendar. And then if you select one of these, it just gives you the calendar, all of the information for that particular event that's been filled out. And you have the ability to add a new one, save, make changes and save, or delete this one if you want. You also have different views. One of the things you have up here is this little double the double arrow icon, which will remove the header and the menu from what you're looking at. So if you want even more screen real estate, you can just close that. So then you have the month view, which is by default. You have the week view. You can look at a particular day, or you can look at a schedule of events. You can print the calendar. You can, let's go back to month. You can navigate through months this way, or you can navigate through months over here. So let's say we want to go to February 1st, and that will put us right there into the February 2021 calendar. Let's go back. What is today? All right. And then you have ways of filtering. So each of these is color coded. Some of these are statewide events. So that's ones that Katie would put in and would show up in all counties. And some would be ones that you would put in just for your county. But you can also filter, like if you wanted to filter out all the volunteer opportunity ones, you could, or the CMG training ones, you could, that kind of thing. And then we'll go back. And so that's what we've got right now for your interface. Are there any questions before we end off on this part?
We did get, I love this new calendar, so much better in my opinion, and nice filters. There was a question that came in about, and I think we'll get into this later this week, but essentially we'll be able to pull reports by project. And once we're in that report, that specific project report, we could see specific volunteer hours within that, correct?
Yes, I'll show you. Yeah,
that's
so
what I thought.
We're gonna...
So specifically the question came up about help desk because in multiple counties, there are specific hours requirements for help desk. So it's not just complete 24 hours this year, but it's, hey, 12 of those hours need to be at a help desk. And so having a report that coordinators can pull to see, hey, within the help desk project, who completed what number of hours.
Right. Well, we can do that right now with this, but it would take a few steps.
That's what I thought. A few steps, but yeah.
We could do it. And what I think,
Great.
And what I've told Katie is once you guys kind of have an idea of what kind of reports you can generate, or you just have an idea of a report you'd like to be able to just have a one-click report on something, we can set that up. Now it might, if it's very granular, like it's like a specific project that you have only in your county, you might have to go through a few steps to generate the report. But if it's something like just you want to be able to see individual Master Gardener hours for all projects and just filter down to a help desk, you could do that. As you can see, I've set up a help desk as one of my temporary projects here. So to give you an idea of how this would work, you would first go to search, and then you would select help desk. So you're going to filter down to just help desk records. Then, of course, you can see from this, you can sort of total it up yourself if you want. But if you wanted to run a summary report, you would then go to group by, and then you could group it by the Master Gardener name, and then run a summary. And you can now see, and I'll fix that. You can't probably read that, but it says local projects equal Adams County Help Desk. So you'll know that it's the help desk, and then you've got a list of the Master Gardeners right down the left side. So that's how you would run that report very quickly. You just add a filter and then group it by Master Gardener and then run a summary. To go back to do it once again.
Yeah. Perfect. And there's a calendar question that came in. Can you split out the calendar by event types, i.e. all tree team events? Like, would I be able to search for just the tree team events?
Currently, no. We have it set up under these categories here. But I wondered about that when I started working on this, because I know that your current calendar allows you to say, have your projects listed over here and that kind of thing. So that might be something we could build into it. I don't know if we would have it available right off the bat, but it might be where we could set up the ability to um, set up your own categories for each county as well. Right now,
So what about right now, like if we wanted to just filter help desk shifts? Would that be filtering by volunteer opportunities?
yeah, you'd set it up as a volunteer opportunity, and it would show other volunteer opportunities though,
Yeah.
not just help desk. So that might be something we'll need to dig into a little bit and maybe kind of tweak how it will be eventually. Yeah, because I'd wondered about that. Um, it would be nice to be able to do that. I think I know that a lot of people would want to be able to do that, and especially at the master gardener level.
Yeah. This is what makes working with you so much easier, is that you already get us because you're one of us.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's it for questions, but keep asking everybody if there's something else, or if you have any feedback. I'd love to hear it in the chat, or you can unmute.
I think that's all I wanted to show today as well, just an overview. Unless you can
Okay.
think of something else that you think we should cover.
So let's talk about what it will be like for our staff this week when they start logging in, and how do they get access to our system?
Okay. So what we're going to do, I have imported basically everybody's account, and I will be redoing that. So we have set up a username naming convention. Of first and last name, what I call camel case, so that it's a capital letter on the first and the last name with no space. So you'll use that to log in, and we're going to send out a password. Katie will send out everybody a password with just a reminder of this is how your username will be. And that's all you have to do to access the system is type in your username, and I'll just use my
So for people with nicknames or different, like my name is Kate, my legal name is Katie, but let's say it was Catherine, but I go by Katie, how would I know what my username would be?
well,
Is it whatever was in our current VMS system, correct? As the
yes,
first name, last name.
yes, that's what it'll be.
Okay.
That's what it'll be. So basically we'll send out a password, and once you log in, the first thing you'll want to do is go to the user tab here, my user profile, and then once again to the user tab again, and then reset password. And that's where you'll reset your password. Once you've put in a new password, it'll actually have to fit all of these minimum requirements. But once you've set that and click save, then the next time you log in after that, you will use the username that you've been assigned and that password that you've reset. I think right now I'm not allowing changes in usernames. I'm making sure that my authentication system is working properly before I kind of let that go. Because the user credential or user authentication system I use is basically built to use the username as like the unique identifier, but I prefer to use an ID, a number. And so I changed that, and I just want to make sure everything is working properly. Once everything works great and there's no problems, then we can loosen this up, and people will be able to change their username if they wish. But to start, we're going to have the naming convention be first and last name, uppercase first name, uppercase last name, no space. And I guess if there's any issue, we'll have a little get help form too, which will go to Katie, probably, I guess, or it could come to me. It doesn't matter, but it'll go somewhere where somebody can look it up and say, this is what your username is, if there's any question. And eventually we'll have that built in. I just don't have it built in quite yet. So for you guys, we'll have it built in by the time we launch our beta. So
Right.
that
I think even later this week, there'll be a lot more to show as, let me give you a teaser for the upcoming meetings this week. You definitely want to attend Thursday and Friday or plan to watch those recordings, because there will be additional features that RJ will be working on updating this week. A lot has to happen in that crunch time, that last week of development is what I'm learning. And so as he kind of puts the finishing touches on, puts all the final data in, there's some things that have to get tweaked and updated then. Okay, so by tomorrow, sometime tomorrow, we'll be sending out a link to access the system with the standard username details, as RJ just showed you: first name, last name, capital, no space, and password for you to log in. When you log in, you'll be prompted to change your password, and then you can start to go through the system. And what you'll want to start doing is taking a look around, setting up your projects, setting up the news feed, so that when your volunteers log in for the first time, they'll be greeted to a homepage that looks maybe familiar with some information that was in our existing VMS system. And then later this week, we can start getting into, setting up the groups for your listservs and how you'll define group membership for access into specific calendar events and specific, permission access. And then from there, what else? Oh, the other thing that you'll need to do, not just your password, but your photo. If we're going to encourage our volunteers to be putting in photos, which I think all of us have found helpful over the years, that it'd be helpful for you to put in a photo as well. So make sure that you're kind of spending some time in the system and starting to update things specific to your county.
marvelous.
I see great new system. This looks great. Seems it will be easier to use. Thank you. This is exciting. Super excited to try it out. Thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate that.
Such an improvement. Yes, I think we're all feeling that way. So that's a lot of information. You need some time to digest it. This is recorded, and I'll make this recording available to everybody. I'm going to update our current VMS kind of landing page on the Master Gardener website with some more details. I'll probably put a link to this recording there, and we'll go from there. What other questions? Anything else? You can feel free to unmute if you just wanted to chat too, or ask a question or give some feedback. Okay, it's Monday morning. I think that's a lot to take in, but I think we're getting some good feedback, and that's certainly where we want to be right now as we're anticipating launch in just a couple weeks.
Awesome.
All right.
All right. Well,